Welcome to the Little Marketing Podcast, where we share practical real life advice for Australian small businesses. Today we're diving into hashtags, something that once ruled social media, but now in 2025, is it worth your time? Before we dive into today's episode, I want you to have a think about last time that you actually tracked which hashtags brought in customers or engagement, and then hold that thought because we're going to revisit it in a bit. If you're still adding hashtag small biz life or hashtag for you page at the bottom of each post and wondering why it's not doing much, then this one's for you. Back in the day when social media started, it felt like hashtags were going to make or break you. Get you discovered, they'll make you viral, attract your dream clients. But in 2025, a lot has changed. So the big question that we're going to look at today is, are hashtags still worth your time, or are they just a distraction? So today I'm going to cut through all of the confusion, give you some practical tips and also some real life Aussie small business examples to show you what actually works. Why hashtags aren't what they used to be. Firstly, let's clear something up. Hashtags aren't dead. They're still around and they still have a role, but they're not the main engine that they used to be. Platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok have evolved, and the algorithms now prioritize things like videos, engagement, and relevance over how many hashtags are piled into a post. So a quick question for you. Which of your recent posts got the most likes or comments? Did it have heaps of hashtags, or was it just something that maybe resonated with your customers or your clients? So as an example, there was a local cafe that was using 15 to 20 hashtags per post. They were hoping to reach more locals, but nothing was happening. And then once they started swapping their hashtags for captions that resonated with the locals, maybe they spoke about their weekly specials, their engagement started to double up. So the lesson is that hashtags can still help, but they're not the main source of your growth. How hashtags work on different platforms. So if we break it down by platform, Instagram, still helpful, especially location-based hashtags, but the algorithm cares more about engagement, likes, comments, shares, and saves. Hashtags alone aren't going to make you viral on Instagram. Then we have TikTok. So on TikTok, content is king. So hashtags can help you get noticed in some of those niche communities, but those trending sounds, trends, and video hooks matter far more on TikTok. So if we look at LinkedIn, so hashtags do exist on LinkedIn, but posts that clearly explain value or spark conversation work lots better. So then there's Facebook. So same story with Facebook. Engagement is what gets your posts seen. Hashtags, they work a little bit, but captions, videos, and visuals are far more important on Facebook. So something else to think about, what platforms are you spending the most time on for your business? And are hashtags really helping you there, or is there a better strategy? So another example of a small business to kind of help you understand hashtags. So there was a craft brewery and they tried a heap of trending hashtags. Their reach barely moved, but once they swapped their hashtags for captions, for stories about their process or the hops that they used, their engagement started to go through the roof. Mini tip, use hashtags sparingly and strategically. So the biggest takeaway with hashtags is don't just use what's trending. You want to be using 3 to 5 hashtags max and using ones that are relevant to your business or your industry. So focus on your location, your audience, and your industry. So for instance, if we look at a Melbourne florist, so they were using hashtags like hashtag Fremantle florist and hashtag Melbourne weddings. And then suddenly they started to attract their ideal clients, people that were actually looking for their services, rather than just random scroll by engagement. Something to think about, if you had to pick just 3 hashtags right now for your business, what would they be? If you keep a note of these and write them down, you might be surprised at how little you actually need. Why captions are the new hashtags. Here's a game changer, captions. So it's interesting because platforms are now reading your captions and keyword-rich captions can be much powerful than hashtags. If you go and look at your 3 latest posts on any platform, are your captions actually giving value or telling a story, or are they just full of hashtags? So instead of just adding hashtags like hashtag small biz or hashtag marketing tips, try adding a keyword rich and value rich caption that tells a bit of a story to your audience. You want it to be clear, searchable, and you want it to tell your audience exactly what it's about. And bonus, it encourages engagement as well because people know exactly what to expect. Real life Aussie small business stories. So if we get a few more examples in about small businesses, that's when it really starts to click. So if we look at a local gym in Brisbane, so they stopped using 20-30 hashtags in each of their posts and they started writing captions about their weekly class schedules. And in a couple of weeks, their engagement started to double. So then there was a Perth boutique, so they added location-based hashtags and captions about in-store specials, and then their engagement as well as their foot traffic started to increase. Then there was a local Melbourne small business. They started to share some behind-the-scenes stuff about their processes instead of just shoving hashtags into their caption. And then their likes and their shares started to shoot up because their customers and their audience started to feel connected to them. So if you can notice the trend, hashtags, they help a little, but connection, storytelling, and clarity in your caption is what's going to help you grow. Can you think of a post that performed recently for you on one of your socials? What was it that worked? Was it the hashtags? Was it the story? Or was it something else? Here's a mini how-to hashtag strategy. So here's a simple how-to strategy for 2025. So number 1, pick 3 to 5 niche hashtags. So think industry, location, audience. Number 2, look at some trending hashtags. So only if they're relevant, you don't want to force anything. Number 3, captions first, hashtags second. You want to be focusing on keyword-rich captions that tell a story. Number 4, engage with your audience. So likes, comments, replying to these. Number 5, test and tweak. So watch which ones of your posts start to perform, and then you can refine your approach. So next time you post, try using a keyword-rich caption and just 3 to 5 hashtags using that really simple strategy so they're super consistent and relatable to your business. And then start to take notice of how these new posts perform compared to your old ones. 5 things to focus on instead of obsessing over hashtags. So instead of obsessing over hashtags, small businesses should start to focus on 1, consistency. So just showing up regularly, even if it's only once or twice a week, and you don't have to be on every single platform. Number 2, quality content. So you want to educate or inspire your audience. Number 3, engagement. So you want to talk to your audience, you want to start conversations, you want to be replying to, their comments and their messages. Number 4, video and visuals. So short clips, behind the scenes, a day in the life. People love to watch videos and visual content. And number 5, community and connection. People, your customers and your clients, they're going to buy from people that they feel connected to, not just because of their hashtags. So if you could pick one of these to improve on this week, which one would it be? It could be 1, or you can just pick one to focus on. Small steps. So if we wrap it all up, hashtags, they're not dead, but they're not the main growth tool that they used to be. Think of them as the icing, not the full cake. So you want to focus on consistency, clear storytelling, keyword-rich captions, engagement, and consistency. If you think about your next post, what story can you tell that will connect rather than what hashtags you can post? So thank you so much for listening, and as usual, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with a fellow small business owner like yourself. This episode is now live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, so please follow wherever you listen. You can also follow us on our socials or visit our website littlemarketing.com.au, or you can even send us an email at ask@littlemarketing.com.au.
Please note that all the information provided on this podcast is general in nature and is not intended to be specific advice to your individual situation. Please be sure to engage a professional for a customized approach to your business and personal circumstances.